We've got our most dear friend of the stream. Wow. Anna Brown. She posted a new video recently, a couple days ago. We love her. She's kooky. She's a whack job. She's a weirdo, and she's got some good wisdom. So you can learn a lot from her.
Hello, beautiful friend.
Hey.
So, this energy we call God, this energy we call the universe, this boundlessness intelligence, it's this. It's just this, without a you trying to manipulate and control it. Because as soon as you try to grasp these words, as soon as you try to hold on to it, you lost it, so to speak. And that's an illusion. Meaning, though, this I, this fictitious I, the one we call me and mine, which is a total illusion, feels real, and it feels like it can acquire more things to inflate its pseudo-reality. Not here. Not here. Here we point to the organic reality, which has not been manhandled by the mind or by the human, which is just a state of consciousness. Really, it's just a reflex. So similar to organic vegetables and fruit and just foods, it's pure, so to speak, because it hasn't been altered. It hasn't been manipulated. There's no add-ons needed with organic. You see? And you already are organic. However, this organic energy or reality is not a thing. But the fictitious me, or the sense of I, feels that way. It feels like a thing. And because it feels like a thing and an object, it's always relating to other things and other objects, and it believes this energy we're pointing to is an object. It is not. It appears as objects, but it's not an object itself. This is a paradox. Being in the world, yet not of it. Formlessness is form. Form is formlessness. How do you teach that? You cannot. You already are it. And again, it's not an it.
I always wonder when I hear this, it's a paradox. I don't know. I don't really think it is. Maybe it is. There's a paradox because we're sort of spanning different views of the world at the same time. We've got something that's the thing, but it's also a process. So we say the thing is not a thing, or it's of the world and it's not. I don't remember the exact phrase she said. So for example, we've talked about tornadoes. If you have a tornado spinning around, the tornado is a thing and it's interacting with the world, but the tornado is not a thing in that it's actually just made up of, stuff flying around, broken parts of houses and cows and trees. It's things moving around within it. The tornado isn't a thing, it's things moving around. It's a process. So it's both a thing and it's not a thing. But that's just looking at different resolutions, different frameworks, different ways of seeing it. You can see it as a thing, or you can see it as a process, which is not a thing. Same with yourself, I think. Which isn't a paradox, it's just a failure of language, a very looseness, a term that's way too broad, thing being way too broad, encompassing too much.
But as soon as you think you know what this is, and that you can control this, you veil this. Seemingly. Only seemingly. Nonetheless, you can't escape this boundless energy. You can't escape this infinite intelligence. It appears as a you and a me. It appears as a tree. It appears as the dirt. It appears as a smile. It appears as a thought and emotion. It appears as loss. It appears as gain. It's so fucking beautiful. It appears as everything, and yet it's nothing. It cannot be touched. It cannot be defined. It cannot be confined. Freedom. This is freedom, not for the personal self, not for this sense of I. You see, the eye is always looking out of the eyes going, okay, what do I need to fix? What's wrong here? What's missing? Something's missing. So when the me arises, something missing arises. When the I arises, so does I need to go find fulfillment. Not recognizing you are the fulfillment. When we deny the body, when we deny the mind, when we deny the appearance of the world, we're denying the absolute. We are denying totality. We are denying wholeness. Because so many non-dual teachers and messengers talk about renunciation, letting go, don't do this, eat that, just watch that, blah, 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 blah. Religion. Religion masked as unity and freedom. No.
Calling people out.
Freedom can be picking out at a buffet. Freedom can be meditating. Freedom can appear as watching television. Freedom can appear as this conversation, so it seems. Everything is already total and free. Not for the me, though, because the me feels like it's in a prison cell. So when it arises as an energy, as a reflex, as a contraction, the whole world looks like a prison cell, and it needs to be fixed. And someone's got to do it right now.
Interesting.
That's what the me lives on. Something is broken and something is missing. And that's okay, too. It's just a game. It's just a play. However, what we highlight here is all of that seeking, all of that trying to fix something that's not broken is futile. Awakening is the recognition that nothing is broken. Nothing's missing. Everything is already whole and free. Everything is unconditional love arising as a you and a me, and this cannot be known. This is an unknowable perfection. However, most beings hear this with the mind, and then they are floating around with concepts trying to break it down and chew on it. The mind will never get this, you see. The mind will go belly up, because this is intuitive. This is utterly intuitive, and that's why the mind cannot serve you in the organic reality.
Wow, powerful stuff here. No, I'm agreeing mostly. I'm agreeing fully with everything that she's saying, but I do want to, I want to clarify some things because it sounds like, you can take this and it might sound like she's saying that you can do anything and feel freedom because it's all freedom. Now, it's true. It is the case. True might not be the word, but it is this. This is the case. Freedom is everywhere. Freedom is in gluttony. Freedom is sitting in meditation or whatever. And the issue is that most of us don't know what freedom is. We don't know what it feels like. And of course, she's going to say, or everybody who have achieved these sort of things, they understand that freedom is in everything. It's literally in everything. Yeah, it's in everything. But if you don't know what the freedom is, if you don't know what that flavor is, then you might want to stop doing stuff so that you can feel it. And then once you feel that, once you get that flavor, once you get that sense, then you can sort of like allow anything to come, and that's fine. You can feel the freedom in going to a buffet or doing whatever you like. But you need to know what it is first, So we want to make sure, like, I'm agreeing with everything she's saying, but I do want to still encourage people to actually take the time to feel the freedom itself and get a taste of that flavor without distractions so that you can recognize it in anything and not be confused. Also, there's another thing. She said that you can't get it. You won't be able to get it. And there's another issue. Still another issue with the thinking. Again, we talked about thinking and the way that we think. Sort of the word thinking is associated with a specific type of thinking, which would be sort of linear, logical thinking, and consistency and coherency at all. That's sort of what we think of when we think of thinking. But thinking is not limited to this. Evaluating, maybe we should use different language. Evaluating the content of phenomena or even statements is not limited to a evaluation, which is linear, logical, bound by physics, coherent, that sort of stuff. So you could get it. You can get it. You get it. She gets it. She's not calling it thinking because she understands that there's the baggage with thinking, which we think of it as the way that we think about everything else. It's not, you're not going to get it like that. You're not going to get it in the way that we get other things that we think about, but you can get it. You can get it. It can be grasped, but it won't be grasped in the way that you grasp anything else. So it might be best to use different language. It is best to use different language, or it's best to at least point out how different it is. It's intuitive, as she said, it's intuitive. But that doesn't mean it's intuitive even in the way that we intuit other things. It's a special type of intuition. It's a special type of thinking. Yeah, I think so.
Because everything is spontaneous and it's intuitive. It is not mental in the sense of precognition, of knowing. Knowing's beautiful if you're learning calculus, learning how to change your tire, but you cannot know no thing. Knowing's a mental faculty.
Mm-hmm.
Awakening's unknowing. It's a mystery. It's the end of the one who wants to get this, to attain it, to know it.
I'm not sure. See, again, I agree completely, but there's baggage again with the word mystery, as if there's no way to get it. You can get it, but you won't be getting it in the way that you think you're getting it. If you think you got it, you're thinking too much. But there are different ways of getting it, in the same way that I wouldn't say personally, maybe some people would say this, your emotions, I wouldn't say that your emotions are a mystery. Right? You feel your emotions. And there are ways that you evaluate that with your feeling, directly, sort of feeling it. But if you think about your emotions, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, thinking your emotions is definitely not the way to evaluate your emotions. Everything's going to seem really silly. It kind of is silly if you think about it. Everything's going to be jumbled and not very coherent, not very consistent, not very linear, not very logical. Because if you're thinking about your emotions, it's just going to be a big mystery in that sense. You can't evaluate it with your thoughts in a sort of linear, logical way. However, you can feel your emotions. You can emote your emotions, I guess. And it's not a mystery. You emote your emotions. And then once you get that essence of emoting your emotions, then you can actually supplement that emotional understanding, we'll call it. You can supplement that emotional understanding with logical understanding. You can throw words on top of it and actually think in the sort of linear logical way to supplement that actual emoting thing. And that works. It can work. And it extends to other things. I like to talk about music a lot. You can do music theory, which would be analogous to thinking here. You can do music theory after you listen to the music. Listening to the music would be emoting your emotions, right? You have to hear the music first. You have to interact with it in the way that you interact with music, but then you can supplement that deeper musical understanding with music theory, and then you can supplement that even with logic, and then you can supplement that with your emotions, and you can even supplement it with your spirituality, whatever. You can supplement it, but you need to have the musical understanding first. And I wouldn't say that the musical understanding is a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's just the foundation is not thinking. The foundation is not emoting. You get what I mean here? So in this sense, there's a sort of spiritual something that you get in the spiritual way that you get things. And then you can supplement that getting it with logical understanding. You can supplement it with emotional understanding. And so on and so forth. It's not a mystery in the sense that there's no way to get it.
It's just so simple. It's this.
It is. It is.
But as soon as thought comes in, If there's identification with that thought, off to the races we go,
Yeah.
seemingly.
Seemingly.
But you've never had a thought.
The issue is having this sort of hierarchy of a way that we evaluate the world. We sort of think of thinking. So you have this hierarchy of like having thoughts above emotions, above intuition, above whatever, music, above however, all these different systems of evaluating. And whenever a thought comes, it overrides everything else. That's the issue. That's the foundational. That's it. That's the problem there. There needs to be no hierarchy here. Or maybe you can put your spiritual understanding on the hierarchy. I don't know, however you want to do it, but having your thinking override everything else, that's the problem, because we think that physics is the foundation of our reality. It isn't. It isn't.
Nor have you ever had an emotion.
You've never had a thought, you've never had
The
an
dream
emotion.
experiences, these are my thoughts and these are my emotions. That's an illusion. Thoughts appear, emotions appear. And there's either an identification, dream world, or there's no identification, awakening.
Hey, what's up? This identification is really that is the sort of that's the level. This is the spiritual interaction, as I'm kind of calling it vaguely, not very clearly here, but that's sort of it. When you identify with something and make that something yourself, that's kind of the problem, because that thing is not a thing. Even identifying the thing as a thing is a little bit too much. That identification process is an issue. But it is an issue. It's so difficult. It kind of eats itself up, but we need to see through it. See through it.
When the energetic sensation of me is present, it always feels less than. And so it thinks I can't reach enlightenment or awakening through trying more to get this. I don't understand what she's saying, so I need to study more. Listen to more videos. No, there's nothing to get here. There's nothing to understand. This is the one place where you're not giving tons of modalities and processes or a list of things you've got to check off before you become enlightened. This is only a confirmation that everything that is appearing is the beloved, that which we call God or the universe or infinite intelligence. Hiding and masquerading in all that you see and don't see.
You're already there. Yeah. Have I seen my soul? I see my soul in everything. I see my soul in literally every experience that arises and fades. Yes? Or what we define as soul, or what I think of as a soul, is not what I experience or what is there. So no. Depends on what you mean. I think not. I think so. Maybe.
The mind.
When we identify with something, we automatically get attached to it. Yep. Buddhists say attachment is the cause of suffering. They do. They do. Yeah. Craving is suffering. Yep.
We'll never get this. And even if we look at the brain, it's cut into two
Hard to
hemispheres.
understand.
Polarities, masculine, feminine, right and wrong, good and bad. It will never, ever see what we're pointing to.
The
And it's not
linear
like I'm pointing
logical
to,
mind can't see it.
it's like your breath, it's like gravity. It's closer than intimacy. You can't lose this. But the me wants to know it's enlightened. It wants to know that this is home. It wants to know that there's no separate self. That one seems to dissolve. Because those questions, the one who wants to understand and get this, it's coming out of survival instincts. If I don't get this, I may not feel safe enough, because we're taught to know more. And really, the me is afraid of death. But nothing actually dies, only energy is transformed. And the me actually isn't even there, so how does it die? It never began, so it can't end. That's the paradox. There's already no me. There's only the beloved appearing as a me, playing a game of hide and seek for no reason, for no rhyme.
I'm not sure if it's actually a paradox. Again, this is a different resolution here. You see the me in one sense, but then if you look closer, there is nothing there, which is doesn't make it not die, right? You die if you think of yourself as the qualities that you have currently. You're going to be dead. That's going to be scary for you. If you have better eyes to see deeper, then you'll see that you don't need to identify with the thing that's going to be dying. You can identify with something different, or you can just not identify. And that thing won't die. That thing is always there. I do think that there's an unfortunate misstep which seems to be here for most people who teach this sort of stuff, this sort of spirituality kind of things. And it's happening here. I don't know if it's, well, imagine I'm being more clear with my language here. I'm not meaning to disparage anybody here. There's the assumption that what she is saying is correct, or more correct than anything else, or you must identify in the way that she's identifying, something like that. I don't think that's the case. I think it should start with, if you identify in the typical way, and that leads to suffering, then maybe you can stop identifying in the typical way and identify in the way that she identifies, which is not to identify with anything, and that would lead to not suffering. I think that sort of caveat in the beginning would be much more clear, because there's a bit of confusion. Like she keeps saying, there's a paradox of there's you, but there's no experience and there's no you. There's a sense of self, but there's no self that's experiencing the sense of self. Okay, that's straddling different frameworks. There's the framework that the person who's learning that the person that is learning has, that they exist and they're going to die. This is the typical framework. And there's the framework that she has. There's no you, and you're not going to die. That's not a paradox. It's just two different frameworks. And if you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, I guess, if you want to have the satisfaction that the Buddhists talk about, or if you want to have that bliss that you can tell that she has, she's being wacky. She's a crazy hippie sort of lady. If you want that sort of experience, like she's having a good time, if you want that, you have to fundamentally change that identifier. Not identifying with whatever you identify with now. Identify in the way that she's identifying. And if you look closely, the way that she's putting it is you necessarily already identify with the identifier. You are the identifier. I don't know if that's, it's sort of destabilizing. I guess it's a little, it doesn't feel right to me to tell people what they need to identify with, but I agree fundamentally what she's saying. You are the identifier, not the things that you identify with. I feel like that was a bit jumbled. I think it needs to start with, if you are suffering, if there's an issue, this is a better way. You cannot identify with anything and you won't be suffering. Not that you must identify with nothing. Not that you already or necessarily, but you can. It's an option. It's an option for you. Something like
The me will always have a reason or an intention or a meaning or a purpose for why this is arising. Hence the stress, hence the guilt, hence the shame, hence the struggle. The organic reality needs no purpose or an intention. However, an intention can arise or appear in space. It's just not owned by anyone. It's not personal. This is a deeply impersonal message. Hence why the person will never get this. Because
Yep.
only isness can hear this. Only isness can recognize itself. That which is not connected to the story of time. Time is an illusion. And so is the I. And it's going to Blow down, just like that. Because it's not even there. You see, so many of us believe awakening is the end of vibrancy and playfulness. This is not about renunciation again. This is not about the end of a vibrant life or playfulness. It's about the end of the one who thought they had a life to control. You don't have a life. You are the manifestation of life itself, pretending you are not.
Is she a god? No? Maybe? Sort of. Does meditation stop masturbation urge? It could. It could increase it. It could do both. Who knows? There are different stages of realization of a meditation. You might become hypersensitive and sort of attached to feelings and want to do it more often. But then you might see through that and stop. So it can stop. It can increase. Depends on where you're at. Is she a god? She's not a god. She's Anna Brown. That's her. Does your spirit leave you when you meditate? You leave the spirit when you meditate. The spirit is all that remains. Maybe. She is Anna Brown, and she's pretending to be awakened, and she's pretending to be God. God being the no thing that she's referring to. She's pretending to be that. She's speaking for no thing in a way that is very easily comprehended by other people who want to also pretend to be no thing. And when you pretend to be no thing, you realize that you are pretending to be yourself and you really are nothing. It's really nice. Do I like Jesus? Jesus is fine. I don't know very much about Jesus, but Jesus is fine. So she's not God in some sense. She's acting, pretending to be some sort of special awakened being. But that song and dance is reducing her suffering, and it's also spreading out and encouraging other people to do that same song and dance. And it's amazing. It's great, admirable, and I'm very grateful for it. Jesus anime.
And so this is heard when it's heard, and it resonates when it resonates.
Yup.
Peekaboo. I see you. Namaste.
She's so wacky. I love it. I love it so much. She's so cool. Oh, she cut off her comments. Oh no. Close her comment section. Okay. Well then. I guess the wackiness got to other people. Yeah, she's really cool. I like her. Do I feel that our sense of faculties limits us in comprehending consciousness? I think the issue we want to comprehend consciousness in the way that we comprehend everything else. Can't. So we comprehend math, we'll say. Namaste translates to hello. Yeah, does namaste mean hello? But you know, she's like a new age hippie type of, whack job. So of course she's gonna say namaste before and after. The problem with comprehending consciousness, okay, we think that we comprehend. That's the comprehension. Don't mock Anna Brown. I'm not mocking her. I mean, I'm mocking Anna Brown. Am I mocking her? Maybe I am. I like Anna Brown. I watch her videos. But really it's the no thing behind Anna Brown that's giving us the real message. And I appreciate Anna Brown for acting out the no thing behind Anna Brown. I think she's really clear and also entertaining with her expression. It's really good inspiration for us to meditate, at least for me. The problem with comprehension, we want to comprehend in the way that we comprehend things. This is not going to make any sense. So I'm going to try to clarify. So we comprehend like mathematics, right? We comprehend we comprehend physics. We comprehend stuff in a linear, logical way. We don't comprehend our emotions in that way. We don't comprehend music in that way. We don't comprehend art in that way. And we shouldn't be comprehending consciousness in the way that we want to comprehend logic. The issue when we try to comprehend consciousness is we always try to shoehorn it back into physics. We try to shoehorn it back into logic and linear thinking, and we're not going to get anywhere because we haven't comprehended it in the way that you comprehend consciousness first. In the same way, you'll never really get music if you think that music theory is the way to get music. If you're stuck trying to get into this sort of linear logical thinking of music, you're even trying to do like pressure wave analysis physics to understand music, you're not going to ever understand music. You need to feel the music first, listen to the music, and then you can support that listening with, logic and linear stuff, but you recognize that your linear logical thinking it's not music. You do music. In the same way with this comprehended consciousness, you comprehend it in the way that you comprehend consciousness, which is not at all in the way that you comprehend anything else. Not at all. There's no point in comprehension. Do I feel that is universally uniform? Do I feel it's universally uniform? Consciousness? I guess so, yeah. Well, it's not that there's no point in comprehension. It's fine to comprehend in the way that you comprehend other things. It's just that we want to make sure that the hierarchy is set properly. You don't comprehend in a linear, logical way first. That's not the foundation. In the way you don't think your feelings first, right? You don't try to explain away or rationalize your emotions first. You emote your emotions. You feel your emotions, and then you can sort of add logic and reasoning afterwards, and it helps, and that's great. But you need to feel your emotions first. In the same way, you need to listen to the music first, and then you can add some sort of music analysis. You can add other things. You need to listen first. Same with consciousness. And you never want to confuse your thinking about emotions as being more important than the actual feeling of your emotions. You don't want to confuse your music theory analysis as more important than actually listening to the music. You don't want to confuse your comprehension in a linear, logical way as being more important than the actual spiritual analysis, spiritual investigation of your consciousness, we'll say, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I do think that consciousness is uniform, I guess, universally uniform, I guess. Yeah. I don't know if that means what it sounds like it means, though. So maybe not. But saying a deeper state of consciousness is a misnomer. I don't think so. You can have deeper states of consciousness. There are different levels of resolution here. So we want to be clear with what level of resolution we're referring to. There is a universal consciousness that is just universal, but that's super, super high resolution. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you're looking at this screen that you're looking at now, you're looking at me on Twitch. I don't know what kind of TV you're using or what kind of monitor you're using, but we'll just give this as an example. You might say, like, this is celadon, that's a color. This is orange, this is brown or something like that. This is black, that's black. You might say something like that. And somebody with higher resolution might say, no. You're seeing colors, but really it's all red, it's all blue, and it's all green. There's nothing else. RGB, red, green, blue. and you say, no, I'm actually seeing brown. Look, there's brown. And this person says, no, here's a magnifying glass. Look, every single pixel is made by 3 LEDs, maybe 4 LEDs if you have whatever, but 3 LEDs, and it's red, blue, and green. So all there is red, blue, and green. So you necessarily must say that all you see is red, blue, and green. Now you can see how that's kind of silly, right? I mean, yes, in some sense, if you're looking very closely, you only see red, blue, and green, yes. But if you look at a different resolution, if you look farther away, well, I'm seeing colors. I'm seeing black, I'm seeing white, I'm seeing orange, I'm seeing other colors. It's not red, blue, and green. So that's what I mean by different resolutions. So there is a resolution that you can look at and say that there are different levels of consciousness, yes. But at the highest resolution, it's all the same. There's only one universal. That's it. That makes sense? It might be a little... Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, if you look up another example, if you look up and you see a bright light, like you're looking up in the night sky, you see a bright light, you say, wow, look at that beautiful star. And someone says, no, you idiot, that's not a star, it's a galaxy cluster. Look through this telescope. And you're like, okay, I mean, you're looking at different levels here. You get what I mean? But are we confusing this with a different accumulated perception? I don't think so. I don't think so. The problem is, what I would say, I wouldn't want to reject your level of resolution by saying that necessarily the highest resolution is the correct resolution or the only resolution. I don't think that that is accurate. So at the highest resolution, yeah, everything is the same. You can get into weird stuff and say nothing matters in the highest resolution. There is no thing, there is no self, there's nothing happening. But that doesn't override any other resolution. How do I classify it as being a higher resolution? Now that's something you'd have to test yourself. So that's tricky. I'm just saying higher resolution to give it an analogous sort of thing, higher resolution. You can sort of verify it yourself, but it won't be like an actual verification process. It won't be the same type of verification process as normal verification and sort of scientific verification. But you can, do some meditation. You can feel different states arising and falling away, and you can see that you can do it yourself. Meditation would be something similar to the magnifying glass or the telescope or the whatever. The problem, the big problem would be there's no other external thing to test to make sure that the magnifying glass meditation here in this case is only adding resolution and not distorting. Well, that's a very good thing to meditate on too and learn about and get some insight on. So it's tricky it's hard to really say strongly that it's necessarily higher resolution, but it's a different resolution. I'm just saying higher to be analogous to the other things, but it's not necessarily higher, it's different. And again, I'm not saying that one is more accurate or one overrides any other one. It's just different. And you do want to have the sort of, well, maybe you don't, but it's nice to have the freedom to go through different resolutions. Wow. Wow. So there's a discerning quality in an altered state versus a deeper state. Yeah, altered state and deeper states are very different. Maybe. But yeah, that gets confusing because you may have a perception of what meditation is, and when people talk about weird stuff, you kind of have to experience it to understand what it means, right? The altered states in meditation they aren't similar, but they are kind of similar to altered states in different drugs and stuff. It's a little. You can meditate on your normal states, and it won't change the states. It'll just be very, very high resolution. So you can feel your normal state at very high resolution. It's tricky. It's tricky to talk about. But you do have to, if you experience it, it'll make a lot more sense. Meditation is enhancing your sensory experience. Yeah. So if you meditate, then I think you understand then that higher resolution, what I mean by that, different resolution, I guess. I think you would grasp what I mean by higher resolution, or understand the sort of analogy of being more clear when things arise, when things fall, when you're skipping through lots of different feelings or skipping through lots of different sensory experiences. You can hold it fast on one. Watch that very closely. Yeah, it does enhance the sensory experience. But you also want to you don't want to be only focused on the sensory experiences. You want to enhance your vision, enhancing your clarity, which does enhance your clarity of the sensory experiences, but it also enhances your clarity of the raw, non-sensory experience. The clarity on actually just being aware, just being conscious. Which may not have any sensory component. At least not sensory component in the way that we think of what senses are, generally. I think.